Hi, this video is for you if you're a family member, friend, or a neighbor trying to support a person with dementia and you're looking for powerful ways to create more calmness and confidence for yourself and for your person with dementia so that you can create a more meaningful life. This video is really about 3 mistakes I see a lot of people make over and over again, and most people are not aware that this is actually not working, and so I thought I'm going to share them today. If you notice that you're making these mistakes, or one of them, or in some form you're also doing those things, I just want to let you know that it's not your fault. It's not your fault because nobody is really prepared for this. Nobody's prepared for the challenges or difficult situations that can arise when you're trying to support a person with dementia. And I know this firsthand because I was working for several years as a psychologist in long-term care, supporting family members, people with dementia, professionals, and I did that with heart and soul, and I was very passionate about it. And it took me a long time to see when my own dad was developing dementia, and when I discovered it was dementia, I still had a lot of issues trying to figure out what to do and how to do things. I struggled with a lot of guilt, all these emotions, and I just want to tell you that my biggest lesson was that when it's your own family member, it's a completely different story. There's so much emotion involved, there's so much history, a lot of baggage, and it's a very different situation when you're in the midst of it. So the fact that you're watching this, I feel I have so much compassion. I know you're trying to do your best, you're looking for better ways, you're trying to get those strategies in place to make it all better. I just want to acknowledge you for that, and I want to thank you for that, and I want to help you on this journey. So my name is Nadine Chance, and I'm the founder of Optimized Coaching, Counseling and Training, and the creator of the Experience-Centered Care with the Heart methodology, where I share all the things that I discovered as a psychologist working in the Netherlands, as a counselor working here in Canada, and working with a lot of families with dementia and professionals. And I developed this methodology because I want to help you to understand what to do, how to do it, and at the right timing. So today it's going to be about the 3 mistakes that I see a lot of people make. So number 1 is assuming that your person with dementia is not understanding or is not being able to pick up on what is happening in the here and now. So this basically comes in different shapes and different forms. So I'm gonna break it down here for you. So what I mean by this is that a lot of family members I talk to tell me, oh, my person, he doesn't know, he doesn't understand, or his dementia is already so far along, he doesn't know. Part that might be true. It's very tricky to generalize this to every situation and in all circumstances. What I'm saying here is that the person with dementia here, maybe your family member, might not understand everything anymore. So very common, your person might not know that he or she has dementia, may not understand that there's actually brain damage causing a lot of issues that you need to take care of now. Your person might totally not aware of that, and that might actually be true. However, your person might still be able, and is probably still be able, to pick up on certain things that happen in the here and now. On a feeling level, your person is still able to see that things are off, or that you're stressed, or maybe that you're angry or frustrated or sad or happy. Your person might also be able to pick up on that when he or she is in his or her own world, that you're not reacting or responding in a way that is aligned with their world. So maybe when you're correcting the person, or when you're saying, oh, that is not true, what are you talking about? The person picks up on that there's something off. And I want you to understand this, because when you assume that your person is able to pick up on things or understand certain things at certain levels, or is aware what is going on, if you have that mindset, it's much easier to align with the person, to connect with your person, and it's much easier to actually do things to help the person and see those really good moments where there's an open window for you and your person to actually truly connect and understand each other. And mostly you understanding your person, but your person can still understand your feelings too. So I want to just add something else here. If we talk about the brain is incredibly complex, but if we make it super simple, we can actually divide the brain in two halves. One is the top brain, and this is the thinking brain, and it's actually the neocortex. It's actually the top brain, and this is where all complex skills, complex functions are sitting. And then the other part of the brain is the emotional brain, and this is the deeper parts of the brain that are also very important for us, and they both work together. All parts of the brain need each other to have really great functioning, to allow a person to function in a healthy, good way. People with Alzheimer's disease and a lot of other types of dementias, there's damage. The damage takes place on the thinking level, the thinking brain. But the emotional brain is still intact. I talk about this a lot in the course when I'm doing offering training. But here, what happens, the emotional brain is also where intuition is sitting. It's where the person is able to pick up on what's going on a feeling level, is able to understand when you're stressed or happy. And this is really important because we cannot assume that this is all gone for any person with dementia, even in the advanced stages. So it's really important to assume that your person is still aware at some level. Now, the second big mistake I see people make, and this is a very common one, is trying to correct the person with dementia. Trying to teach him or her to do it better or in a different way or to make it easier. But the problem here is that if your person isn't able to do something anymore like in the past, it's not because he or she doesn't want to, or is lazy, or is not trying hard enough. It's because there's damage in the brain. And when you try to correct the person, trying to teach, the person might not learn that way, and it's probably not learning that way. If the person is able to learn, it won't be through correction, because what happens with correcting, it's painful, it's stressful for a person, because a person with dementia is still able to feel, and feels it when there's disappointment or when something is wrong, and a person also still has a desire to do good in the world or do good for you. And when a person is corrected, it actually adds a lot of stress for that person, and it actually causes more problems than good. So don't correct, but instead allow whatever is happening, and there's other strategies to help a person. But in many cases, maybe you don't need to correct anymore. Maybe you don't need to correct the situation, and it's sometimes just accepting what's happening and move on to the next situation. So don't correct, but try to look for ways to connect. Connection is always number one. So number 3 mistake that I see a lot of caregivers make is trying to continue the exact lifestyle as before. So this is also a very subtle one. Oftentimes I see a lot of caregivers get in trouble with their person, caring for their person. It's becoming overwhelming, or there's arguments, conflicts, or fights happening, and it's because the caregiver or family member wants to create sort of a standard that is similar to the standard before the person had dementia. And what this means is that there's some sort of a perfectionism going on. I cannot have my person make these mistakes, or I cannot have a person my family member look maybe a little bit more disheveled or unkempt as before, I need to continue setting the bar as high as before. It needs to be good, it needs to be perfect. And this is where a lot of trouble comes from, because now continuing the standard becomes the goal. And what the problem with that is that it's sometimes not serving the person, the family member with dementia. The family member with dementia now needs more space to be him or herself, needs more space to make mistakes or do the things in a different way, and usually not in a perfect way. And when you're trying to keep the person at the same level and setting the bar high for that person, it leads to more stress, it leads to fights, conflicts, depression, anxiety, and it's not helping anyone here. I want to invite you to look at your situation. Are you maybe trying to continue something that isn't possible anymore? And by trying to continue it, you're actually causing more stress. But what we want in a life with dementia, and while we're helping a person with dementia, we want to reduce stress as much as possible. And this also means that we need to let go of perfectionism. So the 3 mistakes. Mistake number 1, assuming that the person with dementia is not noticing anything, doesn't know. The second mistake is correcting, to try to help the person with dementia to keep up, to correct, and by correcting him or her and teaching him things. And the third common mistake is continuing the same situation, continuing setting the bar high, and in fact there's actually perfectionism going on. And those 3 mistakes are often causing a lot of difficulties.